First of all, I want to warn you, this is probably the most different Mother's Day talk you're ever going to hear. So just, hang loose with me, will you? Because I'm going to start out by what might be even a little bit of a negative tone. Because if you're like most people in this world at this moment, to some degree or another, you're enmeshed in the feelings of separation, alienation, insecurity, fear, frustration, unworthiness, anger, envy, jealousy, greed, doubt, and a fear of wrongdoing. I certainly hope that doesn't match anybody here, but just in case that it does, I want you to know that some of those feelings are stronger than others, and you may even be trying to mask your negative feelings on all fronts. What's that song went? I'm crying on the inside and laughing on the outside. Well, that some people are kind of like that. But almost certainly, each one of us is in the process of proving to ourselves that whatever feelings we have, whatever bad things are happening, they are the fault of anyone except you. Yeah. And the most appropriate name for this mask, this proving process in pride, came from John Ruskin. And by the way, if you want to read it, it's page 426 of True and Beautiful. He said many years ago, in general, pride is at the bottom of all great mistakes. Unquote. Pride, which sets rigid standards for the world to meet, and then scorns those that fail to meet them or match that standard, is one of the most cruel forms of fear that a human being can adopt for oneself. You see, for the most fearful that we are, the more protective ourselves that we become. It's very difficult to love those who do not first love us. We cannot easily remain friends with the folks that that violate our standards. And you know what? They may not even know what our standards are, and yet we're still fearful of them. See, it's this kind of pride that hides the truth from ourselves, and it sacrifices all else and everybody else just for the purpose of assuring yourself that you've always been right in every one of those circumstances, or that these people simply have been wrong and you've tried to right them. Now, this kind of pride leaves a person in desperation, frustration, anxiety, and maybe worst of all, loneliness. Have you ever been lonely? Don't answer. You ever been lonely? Loneliness, it comes about because we feel that your equals are not up to your standards. And therefore, they won't change, and so you have to be alone in your uppityness. Now, that means you can be in the midst of many people who love and who care for you, but somehow or other you cannot in your pride know or experience that caring love. Your fearsome pride builds fences and defenses that separate you. I know a lot of children and their mothers who are in exactly that condition, and have been for and probably will stay that way. The most pathetic part of all of that is that if you happen to be one of those, you actually believe that it is your mother or it is that other person that you love that has deserted you. It is they who slight you. It's they who've turned on you, even though you tried to do your very, very best to make them love you and know you. Now, the question is, how in the world is such kind of pride like that built in our lives? And it seems to me that it comes from a good thing. It's an attitude that says, I want to have great good in my life. And so this whole thing starts unselfishly. Like the mother who loves her child and protects and cherishes that child and expects that same love in return. Some of us have understood the sting of rebellion or rejection from the child because it didn't meet our idea of what they should have given us back in love. Then at first there's this lament, what did I do wrong? And then a little later the mother rationalizes that, well, I've done all I can and know how to do to make her love me. Now her desire was right, and if I made some mistakes, it's because no one ever taught me how to handle all the details of being a mother. There wasn't a handbook for me. So I guess I may have messed up a little bit, but it was mostly them. So she sets about trying to stop this rebellion against the child, or regaining the love and respect of the child. Now that can start at age 2 or when the telephone rings. Okay?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It can start when you're 2 or when you're 20, or it might even start when you're 70 years old. But in every case, the mother wants the best for her child, always wants her child to be happy and successful. And to the extent this is not what happens, to that extent the mother feels separated and alienated, feels insecurity and fear, frustration, unworthiness, envy, jealousy, doubt, and anger. Now, I know that's never happened to any of you here, but you might know somebody that it applies to, and you can go help them if you want to. That's my thing for the day. In all of the wars and fights and anguishes that take place, the battle really is over a simple act that takes place. It's not going to be the capitulation of the child. It's not going to be the capitulation of the mother. Because you see, capitulation only brings a temporary peace, while both sides figure out more cruel ways to fight each other. The true peace comes when the mother comes to realize that she's been trying to reverse the process of joyful living. We sing a song, life is for living. And that life for living is in the now, in the present. This joy-filled life is filled in meeting the challenges that come to us from moment to moment of the feeling and of the doing the loving, caring thing right now. Right now. And the question is, how in the world can you do all of that if you're spending so much of your energy on evening up the inequalities on the past and continuing to impose your standards on everybody in the present? Simply stated, she and all of us have the similar circumstances. If we do, we would concentrate the lens on trying to change the other individual, and we try to change the circumstances, and that wouldn't work. So maybe sometime we get around to the simple act of changing our own attitudes and our own standards toward people and circumstances. Now I really have quit preaching and taking the medicine, huh? Yeah. You see, if you've got some sort of a thing right now, a challenge with somebody, the question is, should you be plotting how to get your revenge on that person, even if it is your daughter or your daughter? Do you still want to know how to force them to change Or should you yourself ask how appropriate is the standard that you're applying to them in the light of the truth of God? It's hard. I understand how hard it is. Because the question comes up, well, how in the world do I judge that? Well, what do I worship? Ask you, are the outer things, these words of praise, these positions of respect, the money, are these more important to you than anything else? And when you start answering that question, it's going to tell you what you worship. John, the gospel writer, recounts an incident with Jesus and the woman in the well. You'll find this in John, the 4th chapter, and we'll start reading at the 23rd verse. This is short, so we'll get over this one today. The hour is coming, Jesus said to this woman, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For such the Father seeks to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Previous to this woman had come up to Jesus at the well there, or he'd come up to her, and she said, I guess you're a prophet. But you know what? Our fathers have worshipped at this mountain, just for all kinds of sakes. But you say that Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. But it was then that Jesus told her the truth about this. That you're not going to worship on a mountain, and you're not going to worship in Jerusalem, because you're going to have to worship in spirit and in truth. Worshiping in spirit and truth. So that asks you the question, do you actually feel that you're slighted if you don't get the place of honor in a relationship? If that's true, I guess you're worshiping the mountain. Or, if you're like so many true students that I've known over the years, you proclaim that you know how, and you know what, and you know everything that must be done for everyone to come up to your expectation. And you, of course, add to that, if you don't do that, I can't possibly be happy. And I'm just, you're worshiping the place. You're sitting in the middle of the temple and you're making judgments of condemnation. But Jesus said, hey, just worship in spirit and truth. And what is that? Well, every thought we have, every attitude we carry is our true worship, no matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's the truth. And we may know that it is the attitude that is producing the results that are occurring in your life. Your attitude is producing the results that are occurring to you in your life. And it's there whether your attitudes are of a high standard or a very low standard. You get the pain or the pleasure out of what you think or do. And if you do that, haven't you forgotten that we're insisting on our own way? You go back to 1 Corinthians 13. You ever think about that? It says, love does not insist on its own way. Wow. I think I'm loving my child or loving my other people around there, but it's conditioned on whether they do it the way I want them to do it or not. But this says, love does not insist on its own way. And the next thing that thing says is, maybe we have forgotten that true love cannot come when we rejoice in somebody else's hurt or fall, and particularly if we are the cause of it. Here's what Paul said in the Corinthians. He says, love does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices in the right. Have we forgotten true love when we impatiently judge the actions or the intents of other people? Isn't that what we do all day? We judge the intent and the actions of other people. But you go back to the Corinthians thing there, and it says, Paul says, love bears all things, endures all things. It don't fight nothing. It endures. But that doesn't sound fair, does it? Does that sound fair to you? For a lot of people, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, I know you shake your head yes, but a lot of people say no. See, we ask ourselves, shouldn't I get something out of this relationship? Listen, I've just gone through a lot of sacrifice to make this thing happen. I've had to work hard to get it to be. And do you really realize, you out there, do you realize how much I have to do to be able to meet these standards that I've set up for myself? I mean, I'm working for you folks. Well, you might be doing it right. I mean, a lot of folks are doing it right. But the question is, and what it depends upon, is the attitude that you have when you take whatever action it is out there on the outer. And Paul talked a lot, you know, so we can quote him a lot. He said, if I speak in the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gang or a clanging cymbal. Gong, not gang, gong. and if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. If I give away all that I have, and if I deliver my body to be burned, but have not love, I am nothing. Even if I said all this, probably not one of you has been touched by it, because we all of us intrinsically, honestly believe that we're doing the best we can under the circumstances and considering the quality of people involved, that we truly do love, and that we are good Christians. Are you a good Christian?
Try to be.
I sincerely pray that fits every one of you. I really do. However, you might like to check on yourself to see if this is selflessness or selfishness that prevails in your attitude at the moment. And you can tell by the results that are happening in your life. Now, I started by saying that we probably have some negative feelings and results right now. If so, this checkup would be very appropriate for it. So, the why of that is so that you can figure out what it is that you need to change from the negative to the positive and go from that moment living life to the full. Remember, the best way for you to remove fear, anxiety, and frustration is to remove your focus from yourself and the demands upon yourself and place it focused on God. And I know that you've heard everything that I'm going to say from now on. I've got a few minutes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pass on a few things. Goethe said, all truly wise thoughts have been thought already thousands of times. But to make them truly yours, we must think them over again honestly until they take root in our personal experience. And it's precisely what's taken root in our personal experience that gives us the clue as to what we call wise thoughts that we would like to add to our present personal experiences. That can be pretty much fun. It can also be dangerous, but it could be fun. I'd like to give you 4 suggestions for improving your life at the present moment. And again, I know and understand, I'm preaching to the choir. You already know all this and you're practicing all this, so it doesn't apply to any of you, but you know people that can be helped by it. You can go give it to them. The first thing is, whatever you're doing consciously, look for ways to improve the situation. Even if you can only do it just a tiny bit, take the time to do that. This thing doesn't have to be some big breakthrough. A comparison made the Garmo in a book called Kaizen, Kaisen, which was the key to Japanese competitive success. Kaizen, quote, is a philosophy of continuing gradual improvement in one's personal and working life. It starts with the recognition that every life or business has problems, and it establishes a culture in which everyone can freely admit these problems. And a problem is defined as anything that inconveniences anyone downstream from you, whether it's the worker in the next process or the ultimate customer. Workers resolve never to pass problems downstream. Now, that's pretty different than innovation. Innovation focuses on abrupt and drastic kind of changes. You know, you're doing it this way one day, you do it that way the next. It attempts to leap forward. It's geared toward those big breakthroughs and immediate gains, and it relies upon immediate recognition and promotion. This process just simply trusts that if the effort is there, the results will come. And a lot of people like that. I like it. I think it works to some extent in every place you go. So in one way, you could make your life more fun and fulfilling by adopting this approach to your everyday affairs. In so doing, you would forget to condemn anybody else's mistakes, including your own, and particularly the mistakes of yesterday, which we tend to carry with us in today. If you adopted this attitude, you would praise yourself and others for the solutions to things that you find each day. And you would resolve never to pass a problem through you to another person. Translated, that means no gossip. I knew it would be hard. Method 2 is a way to refuse to accept a problem that someone attempts to pass on to you. Think of it this way. Every person, every day, comes to you offering you some sort of gift. It's a gift of their attitude, a gift of their troubles, a gift of whatever it might be. A lot of people think that when it comes to them, they got to do something about it. They got to accept it and do something about it. I got to help you because you feel bad, so I got to go and do something to make you feel better. I got to do. Listen, the rule is you can accept or reject any one of those gifts. You have the free will to do that. And basically, when you're faced with somebody that just wants to transfer to you their anger, fear, jealousy, hatred, accusations and so forth of another person or whatever, it says to you, have the courage to say, hey, this is his or her problem, not mine. It has nothing to do with me, so I take no position for my own, but I will do this, and this may be the best thing in the world. I'll offer prayers of compassion, love, and wisdom to this person so that they can then begin to see how to solve their problem for themselves. By the way, if you wanted to say that whole thing, you could say, this is his or her problem. I refuse to take that problem for my own. I send prayers of compassion, love, and wisdom to this person so that they may see and solve their problem for themselves. It takes about 15 seconds to say that. Anybody not have 15 seconds to be able to clear their mind of the crud that's coming to them? Okay. You see, it's 15 seconds spent before any other response or reaction on your part. Let me tell you what, it can be the difference in your whole day and maybe the whole another month that follows. Just to come to that conclusion. So, and at the very least, it helps you to tone down your reaction, to be a little more generous in your thinking. And for heaven's sake, to be less threatened by what's happened or what's been said. It's a good deal. So when you're given a report about a third party, you can refuse to take on the problem by affirming to yourself, I depend upon my own observations and wisdom. The reports of others are often covered by their own biases and their judgments. So, to be fair to myself and to others, I just simply refrain from judgment until I have first-hand information. Or you could just shorten that whole thing down to say, do I know this to be true from my own observation? After all, there isn't much harm in things going in one ear and out the other, at least not as much as there is in possibly passing through a lame brain and a loose tongue. Anyway, method 3 is to relieve yourself from any thought that a problem is a threat to you personally. At least once an hour, you want to stop, say in your mind and heart something like this. Thank you, God, for the good I enjoy right now. It reminds you that you're enjoying life right now. And this other person that's come up to you with this junk, you can say, okay, I may accept that junk in a little while, but I'm going to put it over here, and I want God to know that I enjoy my life right now. Right now. You know it takes 3 to 5 seconds to say that. Thank you, God, for the good I enjoy right now. That's it, 3 to 5 seconds. Anybody not have 3 to 5 seconds you can use for that? Gosh, I can't believe they don't. So the question is, don't fight it. Just do the best that you can where you are right now. We've been told, and I think it's really true, that an attitude of gratitude will wash away the little strains that grow into full-blown threats in your life. Knowing what you have and counting that as a blessing in your life will help you to dissolve any worry or threat about what to do about it at this moment. Now, the fourth method is a little more involved, but it's still pretty simple. It's solution-oriented. You have a plan of life? Everyone here have a written down plan of life? Where you want to be from here on out? If you don't, please do. Make one out. Just make it whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference what it says today. Put down whatever you think you want to do as you proceed day by day by day. And then after you get it done, every week sit down and read it and review it. And you review it from the point of view of what progress you've made, but mostly from the point of view of how you expect to feel in all areas and in all situations of your life. How do you feel right now, and how do you expect to feel later on? Now, oh, by the way, if you don't have this plan, if your life isn't going according to the plan, let me just ask you these questions so that you can get started on it. First of all, is my plan inappropriate for right now? Are my feelings consistent with the physical and mental part of my plan? And am I being patient and understanding? Then you decide what alterations seem appropriate for you and just commit to them. That's all. Say to yourself, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to do it. This is what I am going to do. And not only that, but right now I am working my plan. So if you just commit to your alterations, then you'll be committed to the total revised plan of your life. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's just a steady program of balanced progress inwardly and outwardly. And it goes without saying that they only supplement your other spiritual activities, such as prayer, meditation, church, and classes, and loving sharing with other people. It's just an additional little plus in your life. Remember, none of this is going to do you any good until you make those plans your plans, not somebody else's, your plans. Goethe said, all truly wise thoughts have been thought already thousands of times. But to make any one of those thoughts truly yours, you have to think them over honestly until they take root in your personal experience. And there's no way you can do that for you. Not even your mother. As much as she would love to be able to do that for you. And if you are that mother, just understand that your child will make her own or his own decisions in life. And whatever they are right at the moment. Your desire may be different, and you might show them some of that different desire. But right now it's okay. So right now, you as mothers or as children can look at your child or mother and say, I love you. You are that one who makes my life better and more filled with love. Try it. Bye-bye.